Delighted to welcome on my next guest. Always a pleasure. A big fight announced for him at UFC 223 in Brooklyn against Alex Caceres, a returning guest to the show. Always a pleasure to have him on. Travelling the world at the moment, just back from his travels, now into a fight camp, Mr. Artem Lobov. How are you, my friend? How are things with you?
I'm good, brother. Good to see you.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Excited? Big fight announced, 223.
Definitely big card, big fight. Definitely excited. You know, I was already in camp. I was aiming to fight UFC London, but it didn't happen, you know, for whatever reason. I don't really mind, to be honest. I mean, of course, it would have been nice to fight on Paddy's Day in London. I know I would have had a big support, but New York is a good option as well. You know, it's probably one of the few places where I can have the Russian and Irish support at the same time. Big Russian community in New York, as well as big Irish community. So I really look forward to that one.
Yeah, definitely. Artem, just bring it back a little bit. We talked, I think it was before Richard Kiley's title fight at Bama, and you said you were finding it very hard to get a fight, finding it hard to get matched up. Why do you think we were avoiding? There was talk of Zabit, there was talk of obviously BJ Penn as well, I think. What was the whole situation with you not being able to get a fight for so long?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. You know, it's always on the surface, it always seems like everyone wants to fight. But I guess once you kind of dig deep into it, you know, and those messages of fight offers are coming through people's phones, you know, they're not really responding to them. I mean, you've seen recently Zabit, you know, put everyone on blast, saying that, you know, those guys are turning him down and I was the only guy accepting the fight. And exactly that's what's going on. You know, everybody thinks, you know, that everyone in the UFC are fighters and they'll fight anyone, but that is not the case. So imagine what things are like outside of the UFC. If on the biggest stage and where the money is pretty good in the UFC and people are still turning down fights. So can you imagine trying to make somebody fight on, let's say, European scene, where the fight is hard, but the reward is very small? No one wants to fight. And I've been speaking about this my whole career. You know, I was one of the few guys always willing to step up and always willing to take on a challenge. You know, everybody always says how they want to fight the best and they're ready for anyone. But when, you know, it comes down to facts, that is not the case. Very few are.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. You know, we know you don't duck fights. That's for sure. Talk to me about that Zabit thing as well. You know, he said that you accepted what your team turned down. Can you shed any more information into what that tweet was about, or do you know anything about that?
I don't really know what that thing is all about. I messaged Sean Shelby saying, look, I want that fight. I want to fight Zabit. And I did it on a number of occasions, not just once, a few times. And then I don't really know, the fight never came about, but my team was certainly on board. You know, they know I don't turn down fights, and they wouldn't turn down fight for me, that's for sure. You know, the way it works with us, the name gets sent in, and it's a yes. And that's it. You know, the only time hasn't been short, I might say, look, can we maybe have a different card, just the one that makes more sense. But in terms of opponents, I don't really care who is there, and I accept fights with everyone, and so does my team. They know that, and I don't really know what they meant by that, but my team certainly didn't turn anything down, and neither did I.
Was BJ Penn a realistic possibility as well? He mentioned that as well.
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, BJ Penn, I mean, I don't think he's fighting anymore. You know, obviously BJ is a legend of the sport. You know, he's achieved everything he had to achieve. You know, he was a champion at lightweight. He was a champion at welterweight. So, you know, I don't really have, you know, I don't really mind the position where I'm in. I just need a fight and I just need a win. And I do realize that I've always been very realistic about where I am at. And I continue to be that way.
Before we get on to Alex and talk about him, like, you know, I think he's a similar opponent to what Andre Fili was, sort of long, unorthodox, maybe a little bit more innovative than Andre Fili in his game, and unorthodox and maybe a little bit more flashy, so to speak. Talk to me about that performance against Fili. What was your feeling, you know, now that you've time to look back in the fight?
Yeah, to be honest, I felt good, maybe a little bit too relaxed in the first round. You know, he tried to shoot, I remember, and he couldn't take me down. I defended the takedown well. I was pressing him. I was putting the pressure on. I just kind of, you know, got a little bit too comfortable and missed that head kick. And let's be honest, it would have been over for most people.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
You know, I managed to still scramble back up, recover. and get back into the fight. But of course, that I was still a bit, my head wasn't 100% there anymore, and obviously that took a lot out of me. And my reaction wasn't maybe as quick as it would have been in the first round. It wasn't as quick as that in the third round and the second round due to that head kick, and he was able to take me down and just kind of hold me there. I got up a few times, but that was still enough, obviously, to score the points. I mean, he did nothing but the takedowns. Let's be honest. He took me down, and he was holding on for dear life. I was putting
Were
the
you
pressure
surprised
on him.
he went for so many takedowns?
Not at all. I mean, he's a mixed martial artist, so this is part of the game. So why wouldn't he? He comes from Team Alpha Male, where obviously takedowns have always been a big part of their game. So it is something that I definitely expected, and I certainly prepared for it. And like I said, in the first round, I think I was able to defend the takedowns, but then maybe my reaction time wasn't there anymore after the head kick. What can I do? But I was still pressing. I could, he was obviously didn't want nothing to do with me on the feet anymore. And again, I'm not trying to say anything bad. I mean, this is part of the game, and he turned to wrestling, and that's fine. He got the win, but
moving on.
I felt he was afraid to exchange from that moment on, because he couldn't really do anything to me. I mean, that head kick was his best shot, and I still recovered from it. I remember landing some good shots on him as well, and I believe I rocked him at one point as well. But like I said, you've seen how the fight went, and the wrestling won the fight for him. That's it. I move on. I learned the lessons that needed to be learned, and perhaps stay a little bit more switched on in the future, and not get head kicked.
Was Conor?
Good advice to everyone, I guess. Do not take head kicks.
I have to ask you, was obviously the whole Conor and Goddard incident, was that unsettling for you though, when Mark was shouting at Conor ringside?
To be honest, the whole thing happened so quick. I didn't even kind of really realize what was happening. I honestly still was a little bit confused. I thought the fight was over. I saw Charlie knock the guy out. He was down on his knees. Even when the whole scuffle was over, he was still down on his knees. Still wasn't able to recover. So he was clearly knocked out, and that's what I thought. And then I didn't really know what was happening. And then I'm
talking about even in your fight further back when Conor came cage side and Mark had the words at him when you were fighting Andre.
Well, that one, to be honest, I didn't even know what happened there. I thought that when initially he came over to me, I thought maybe he believed that I poked Philly or something like that. That's what I thought, and I kind of just shrugged my shoulders and was like, "Whoa, I'm not doing anything. I didn't do anything." So in the fight, it didn't really affect me. I was just a little bit confused, but that didn't really affect my fight at all.
Okay, moving on to Alex Caceres. Obviously, a guy we know, UFC veteran in the Ultimate Fighter as well as yourself back in the day. A really difficult guy to assess for me. You never really know what you're going to get from him. He tries different things. He's very innovative. How do you prepare for a guy like this?
Yeah, you just have to do your thing. He's quite, flashy, but I did notice he is wrestling, a lot more, lately. And I guess he probably kind of lost a few fights due to, being taken down and then held down. And he realizes how many points takedown score. Even if you do nothing but the takedown, once you take somebody down, that scores hugely still in MMA. And of course, that he probably kind of thought about it, and he decided to kind of wrestle a little bit more than he used to. So I'm expecting, a lot of wrestling exchanges in this fight also.
Definitely. You pondered retirement after the Feely fight for a few weeks.
We actually didn't. People, I guess, I mean, it's on Twitter, so it's kind of hard to express yourself in 140 characters, but I was more considering perhaps a move to a different
combat sports. Yeah,
I had some offers on the table, perhaps moving to K1 or even boxing. I was kind of maybe expecting to get dropped by the UFC, which, I mean, I would understand as well at the time. Of course, I mean, UFC is where you want to be as an MMA fighter. But I thought if they drop me, that's fair enough. I had other opportunities and other offers on the table. I feel that I've done well enough to kind of build myself to where people want to watch my fights. My fights are always exciting. I come to fight. I don't ever want to bore anyone with my fight. I realize that this is entertainment sport, and I do everything in my power to ensure that my fights are very exciting. This is a brand that I have built with my fighting style. I've taken a lot of risks, often paid for it with my own brain damage, but this is the road that I chose. And to me, it's more important to me that my fans are never bored. They always enjoy a show. That when they see Artem Lobov on the card, just that name alone is worth their money. So as a result of that, I always get a lot of offers from different promotions. They know that my fight will not be boring. I'll bring it.
Who are the offers from, Artem?
There's many, obviously, Russian promotions that are interested in me, Fight Nights Global, of course, ACB, I fought for them before in the past.
I remember,
And I have a very good relationship with them. They've looked after me really, really well. Of course, I work for Fight Nights now as a commentator. So, there was offers from them. I was in talks as well with some Q1 promotions,
Cool.
So there was plenty of offers on the table for me. I was kind of a little bit surprised, I guess, but also, was happy to see that, because I often see guys, UFC guys, tweeting and struggling to get signed anywhere, even, UFC vets. So, which is always kind of comes as a shock to me, and I found that I'm not one of those guys. It was nice to see that there is interest in me as a fighter out there.
Something for the future, anyway. Something down the line, even if your mixed martial arts career ends.
Of course, but still, I was delighted to, of course, get another fight and stay in the promotion. There's no question that UFC is the number one MMA promotion out there.
You mentioned it there, right? And even when we put up the story of the fight being announced, an MMA fight, and especially on our timeline on Severe MMA, the traction was crazy. Again, it's still been going, today about this out. There's retweets, people commenting. As you said, people are always interested in your fights. Are you surprised that you're still getting that amount of traction? And obviously, there's been a bit of hate in there as well. There always is from you, from the fans. Any words for those guys?
I don't really mind that. I mean, the hate, the love, it's all good. Just watch the fight. I don't give a fuck why you're watching it. Whether you want to see me get knocked out or you want to see me knock somebody out. I don't care. Just tune in and watch. Turn that channel on and watch it. Buy the ticket and come see my fight. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
If there's people that don't like me, that's fair enough.
The interest is there.
They're entitled to it. I don't really mind, but I think if you ask people in the know in the industry, like matchmakers throughout Europe, over the world, fighters, they know what's up. They know who put the work in. They know who was the one guy that never turned down fights. They know how many guys out there are hiding in their homes, not wanting to take hard fights. So I feel I have earned the respect of fighters and people in the know. As for people on their couches, commenting, well, that doesn't really matter. Their opinion doesn't really count that much to me. Let's be honest, they'll still be watching my fight, so it's all good.
I want to talk to you obviously about the card. Have you any, people are asking, is Conor going to be in your corner? Because obviously Tony and Khabib are headlining for, we're not sure if it's for the real title yet or the interim or what's going on. Is Conor going to be in your corner in the crowd on fight night? What's the situation there?
Well, it's still a good bit away. Conor is always supporting me. He's supported me throughout my whole career. He is always there with me. And, if there's something very important where he has to be and he has to miss my fight, that's never a problem. I know I have his support. So I guess it's a little bit too soon to say now whether he will be there or not. I, of course, always love seeing him at my fights. It means a lot to me when he is there. And I know it means a lot to him, to support me. And if he is able to be there, he will be there.
Definitely. Do you think, obviously that fight, do you know any insight what Conor's going to do? Is he planning to come back and potentially, fight Tony or Khabib, the winner of this? Or have you had any word from Conor about the status of his world lightweight title?
Look, there's no question about it. Conor wants to fight. He is a fighter. He's a true fighter. There are very, very few true fighters out there, and he is one of the very, very few. He, of course, he is the lightweight champion. He is the lightweight champion, and he, of course, will be defending that belt. To be honest, I think it's good the way it's playing out now. Conor, is in negotiations with the UFC, and in the meantime, Khabib and Tony will fight for the interim belt, and they will decide who the next challenger is.
But is it going to be interim belts? We don't know. There's been no official announcement.
Yeah.
Is Conor going to?
Conor is still the champion. He is the champion. Did you see him? Did you see anybody beat him and get that belt? No. So he is the champion. That's the way it works. You have to beat the champion to be the champion, and I ain't seen anyone beating him. So he is the champion, of course.
Do you think he'll fight the winner of this fight?
Yeah. I think so. He will fight the winner of this fight. And that's going to be a clear, because right now there was two challengers. You cannot deny that Tony has done a lot to be in the spot he is in there. But so does Khabib. So did Khabib. He's also been on a good run. And now the two of them are the clear challengers. So the winner of that fight will be the true challenger. And he will fight Conor for the belt. That's the way I see it.
Who wins that fight in your opinion?
Tony and Khabib?
Yeah.
It's a difficult fight. Tony, sometimes I notice he can kind of be often seen giving up position easy enough just because he feels comfortable kind of on the floor or on the feet. So he's not too concerned with defending the takedowns. But I'm just afraid that Khabib could be quite smart about it, and he might not just take him down, but he might be going to Tony's back all the time. And when he's at Tony's back, Tony has no opportunity to attack with the elbows. He has no opportunity to threaten him with any submissions. And I see that Khabib could just wear him out and get that win. That's how I kind of see that fight playing out. But, we'll see. I guess we'll find out April 7th.
Khabib, Conor in Russia. That sounds good to you, I'd say. And you maybe use a beat next year.
That would truly be a historic event. That would be huge. I know all those events that, Conor fought before in Vegas and New York, they were absolutely massive. And there were no doubt were historic events that will forever be, imprinted in MMA history. But I feel, the first UFC event in Russia, Khabib versus Conor, that just has some
Artem versus a beat.
Yeah, who knows how that will play out. But, I'm excited. I was very, very excited to see those news. I was very excited to see that UFC are going to Russia finally. And I have no question it's going to be a great event.
Definitely. Okay, just before we move on, I want to ask you a couple of more things, obviously, about your visit to Russia and things like that. So you definitely think Conor is going to get back in there and fight the winner of this fight on April 7th?
Yeah, I certainly think, of course. Like I said, he's the champion. So, there's going to be a clear challenger decided April 7th. And then that's who Conor is going to fight. That's the way I see it. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Artem, a couple more. Obviously, you're in Russia. I want to let the guys know about this. I saw some of your videos on Russia today and things like that. You were over in the Kremlin to train the guards. Talk to us a little bit about that. It looked pretty cool, and we were talking off air. It was a very poignant and special moment for you as well.
Absolutely. I was so honored to be there. I was so honored to get that invite. It was a truly incredible experience. It's as a child growing up, I used to always dream of even just walking in the Kremlin one day, just to have a look what it's like on the inside, and to get an opportunity to not only see it but also train inside was it meant so much to me, and I was delighted with the invite, and still probably one of the biggest moments in my life for sure.
Brilliant. What sort of training were you doing with the guys? Obviously, they had a good sambo background. Was it just intricate details of striking and martial arts?
The guys were no joke. They were all trained athletes. They knew exactly what I was talking about, and I just shared some of my knowledge, not so much to teach them, but just share them my angle and my view on MMA and what I know. And because all the stuff that I know, it wasn't just licked off a stone. I learned it in battle, in true battle. Every fight was a competitive fight that I have taken. Very, very few fighters can say that. Very few.
Definitely. Is it something that, if the door opens again, is it something that you'll go back and go over to the Kremlin and train the guards?
Absolutely. I would be so honored, and I would be there in a heartbeat.
Artem, it's always a pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you in New York. It's a great fight, UFC 223 against Alex Caceres. I do appreciate the time, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.